I think that's going to be the title of this program today. Even good white people. I asked them. All white people are not evil. It's all because all people aren't evil. White people are just people with different issues than black people, for the most part. Okay. But that whole privilege thing and the denial of it, you kind of wonder. I look at this kind of the same way I look at the police. Okay, I don't believe most police are bad. I don't believe most police participate in criminal acts against the people that they're supposed to be protecting. Okay. So those are criminals, those are the bad police, right? But then I have to look at the police that know what the bad police are doing and they don't turn them in. So at that point, those good police become bad police. Okay. So now if you're a police officer who's oblivious to the criminal activity of their fellow police officers, okay, that's a good one. Gosh, man, you wonder how you could be in that environment and just not know what's going on. That's problematic as well, So then I kind of correlate that to the privilege situation in this nation. That is kind of interesting. Okay. So we're going to talk about some things today. Even good white people. I was talking to my daughter recently, and I told her, and she's getting ready to go off to college this year as a freshman to an HBCU. And I told her that her mother and I have taken ourselves out of the reach of racism. And that kind of took her back. She, in disbelief. And so I explained it to her. And first of all, a lot of times, I came up in the 70s, I saw a lot of stuff. I saw a lot of racism, but black people handled the racism, okay? And white people were afraid of black people. That's why you're going to have to pry their cold, dead fingers from those guns, because those guns will give a man fortitude, will give a man bravery, okay? And numbers as well. We saw that on January 6th, okay? But I mean, now my daughter, she's lived a privileged life. She's been in private school all of her life. Always lived in very, very, very nice neighborhoods. We've always had a lot of cars, more cars than we have people in the household, more space in the house than we have need for. Everything, she never has had a need that wasn't satisfied. And she's saying, what do you mean? You've taken yourself out of the reach of racism. She cannot fathom that. Because she does recognize the issues that a lot of white people have, and she has grown up watching it. She was 3 when Obama was president, so when she became cognizant of life, probably around age 6 or 7, she began wondering why this good black man and his good black wife and Sasha and Malia, why they were being ragged on so much by white folks, I mean, that's a reality. We could get on our TV programs, on our Fox or on our MSNBC and CNN and give our particular perspective on why things are going and what you might be thinking you're seeing, you're not really seeing. We can do that in a political way and get away with it. But kids just see what they see, and that is simply their reality. And then when Trump became president, there was a lot of negativity, a lot of racial issues, and all kinds of, with the Confederate flags and the white supremacist, people getting shot, all this stuff, man. Cops choking out black people, and Black Lives Matter, no Blue Lives Matter, all that stuff. These kids are seeing that. We already know what it means. Black folks, we know what it means. White folks, you know what it means too. You're just not saying it, okay? We all know the truth. And this is really giving a black eye to the Christian religion as well. Recognizing, what I have. I mean, I was raised in a white Pentecostal church where I was called the N-word on occasion, So that stench of racism does not stop at the church door. It has permeated the churches as well, and we've seen that in these past 3 elections. Okay, but anyway, so this is what the children will see. That's what my daughter is seeing. So she has a lot of issues with white people, although I have to admit, in the private school, some of her teachers and some of the students, she's experienced some stuff there. But she's protected, okay? To me, as a young man and a teenager, a military man and a young man in the 70s, it was like, I don't care if you don't like me. Just don't touch me. As long as you can't affect me, it's not an issue. And, I tell a lot of white people sometimes, and it's to their surprise, because they're, I'm not like that. They're trying to make sure I understand they're not like that. I said, look, I got to tell you something. Let me tell you the big secret that white people don't know about black people. All of a sudden the ears perk up. I had this first, like, black people don't like white people more than white people don't like black people. What? Come on now. See, black people recognized in order to be successful, they had to navigate through this system of what is obvious to black people, which has always been obvious to black people. Okay, and so I'm not going to come at you with a club, if I need a job here, right? And so I think white people became under the impression, I think even from the 60s with, Martin Luther King Jr. them, I just want to eat with you, I just want to drink from the same water fountain, I want to use the same bathroom and all this. Believing that black people loved white people and wanted to be with them, no, that was a necessary step to get to equality, okay? It wasn't that white folks were loved by black folks and black folks just wanted to eat with you. It recognized that in order to attain all levels of equality, there had to be a doorway in, and that was the way in, okay? So yeah, and sometimes white people are kind of shocked when I tell them that black people don't like white people way more than white people don't like black people. And I say, well, think about it. Why would they? Given the history. You think black people don't see? You think black people don't know? Man, I was at NCR once. I worked there for 13 years. Inventory management, three-piece suit, hat with the feather in it, briefcase, trench coat, that whole 9 yards, right? And I was working, I was in a function called inventory management. And I was working with this guy, I think he was in accounting or something, and professional and all. And we had a white guy, we had a good working relationship, and we worked together and worked with customers and the plants and the salespeople and all this stuff, just making these deals happen, right? And one day he came down to my office and he looked horrified. And I was we were all using landlines. There were no cell phones, back in those days. So you'd call, and if you get somebody's voicemail, you'd leave them a message or hang up or whatever. But what had happened was, evidently he had been on the line with someone else, within our function, a white person. And they had called me, but I wasn't there, and the phone went into my voicemail. And they thought they had disconnected. But it was on my voicemail, it was on. And he came down horrified, asking me, you have a voicemail on your, and he was a really cool white guy. Okay, that I got along with. And he said, you have a voicemail, on your voicemail, I need you, will you please just delete it without listening to it? I said, not you too, man. This was even a good white guy. And you know what? And he was really begging me to delete that message without listening to it. And I did. And I tell some folks down there, why'd you do that? Why didn't you listen? I didn't want to listen to it. Because I already knew, and I know me. Now that guy, we were never cool anymore after that. But I knew it would be more of an issue for me to deal with if I had listened to these guys having a conversation about me on that phone. Okay? So even the good white people, we know. Black people know. Oh man, you remember when Obama was running against Hillary, and he was winning, the primary for the presidency, and Bill Clinton, the Bill Clinton all black people love. You remember he came out on Arsenio Hall playing the saxophone, and everybody loved him after that. He was the one that said, in my time, he'd be bringing me lemonade, talking about Obama. That's even the good white guy. Okay? So we know this. And Clinton was never the same again with black folks after that. That's why when Hillary ran, she thought she was a shoo-in. Black folks didn't come out and vote for her like they did for Obama. Because we knew. Hillary was the one saying he was unelectable, remember? Even the good white folks. Okay? So we know this. So, I have a friend. And I want to tell you this, so I'm living in Ohio right now, Dayton, Ohio. And I've been here since I was a kid. I came here. My father was stationed at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, Ohio, in the military. And then after I graduated high school when I was 17, I went in the military, And then when I got out in the Far East. And they asked me where I wanted to go. And I'm like, we were just one little family moving around places, I guess Ohio. And so I came back here, But I want to tell you a secret, That there are a lot of... The funniest thing in the world for me is this people that call themselves white supremacists, okay? Because they're not supreme, okay? Whether it's how they speak English, their economic condition, their educational situation in life, the environment that they live. I don't see anything supreme about them. Their supremacy is a bluff. Their supremacy is a hope and a prayer. Supremacy is a wish, for the old days. Make America great again like it was. That's never going to happen. It's not like that. But see, when I came to Ohio, I had never seen these type white people before. I had never seen white people from Kentucky, from Tennessee, from West Virginia. I had never seen these kind of white people before. I had never seen an outhouse before I came to Ohio. And, I was a kid, but I remember driving from military housing, what they called Page Manor, to the base. It's like a big highway-looking thing now, but then it was just like a two-way road, 2, 3, 4-way road. And I remember driving over Fairborn and looking down in this little plat, and every house had an outhouse. I was amazed. Every time we drove by there, I just looked because I had never seen outhouse. I came from Maine to Ohio, the land of Paul Bunyan, right? I came from Kansas to Maine. And before Kansas, I was living in Europe for 5 years. And before Europe, I was born in Los Angeles, but I don't remember Los Angeles. That's the plight of a military kid. You live so many places, it's hard to distinguish. It's hard to remember, But I'm just telling you, I had never seen this level of uneducated white people, this level of white people living in... See, to be honest with you, I had never seen an inner city before either. I know I've been shielded, right? I talk about my daughter being raised in an environment, of privilege. I mean, that we created. I believe I'd never seen any of that. I'd never even heard the N-word until I was like 8. My father was in Vietnam. I was living in Kansas. I was playing with some white kids. I didn't know they were white. I didn't know I was black. We were just kids playing, and one of them called me that. Didn't even faze me because I had never heard it. Only until later I realized. But so I haven't really seen. So again, until we came to Ohio, I had never seen an inner city before. And to be quite honest, I never really went to the inner city even as a kid here. We spent all our time at the base, at the gym, at the swimming pool, bowling, at the commissary. We never came to Dayton. I never saw the inner... the first time I seen the inner city was after I got out of the military and came back to Ohio and kind of moved into the inner city. And I was like, whoa. And I kind of liked it. I liked being around all black folks. When I was overseas, I was around all black folks as well. But I'm just saying to live in an entire community like that. So, but then I saw a lot of depression, a lot of economic suffering, a lot of poor people, a lot of drug issues. I saw a lot of issues, in the inner city. But I had never. So I had seen poor. That was when I got out of the military. So all these poor. And I went to a white Pentecostal church growing up. That's where we went to church, as we were military kids living here. That's the church we were at. And so these were all just poor, country, white folks from the holler, from Kentucky. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. I don't hardly. Tennessee, West Virginia. These kind of white people. So before I ever saw any poor people, any poor black people in my life, I was raised around the poorest of white people. Couldn't speak English, had no education, had no money. That was my experience. So understand my perspective. When I see these people running around carrying these Confederate flags and talking to, or driving their little trucks around with these two big old flags on the back, or being in some of these real poor white neighborhoods today, you know, like around Northridge, and seeing flags that are about as bigger than the house, you know, and seeing yards that are so jacked up and junky, and with a "Make America Great." When was America ever great for you? You know, all I'm saying is, so the first thing I think, you know, as black people, we need to recognize that they're not supreme. They're not supremacists. And why are we being intimidated by people who are no more smarter, economically better off, educated better neighbor? Why are we intimidated by people who are probably on the same level or a lower level than us? Okay? Why? Why is that? Okay? I'm going somewhere with this today. I don't exactly know. I had an idea when I started. Okay? But I think it started when I say even the good white people. I have a good white friend, and we were talking about, you know, another friend, and as a white lady, and the white lady has mixed kids, black, you know, and she's a single mother, and no, I don't know her that well. I just saw some pictures on Facebook, and I could kind of tell these kids were kind of mixed. They were like really mixed, but closer to the white side. But you know, takes one to know one. I could tell. So we're talking about education, and we're talking about, you know, suggestion. You know, I was talking about this girl, you know, young girl who just graduated from high school, you know, going to college, and this white friend of mine, a female friend, really nice, really cool, came up to me and said, "You know, she's black." I'm like, "Yeah?" And, you know, she ought to go to a vocational school, you know, because college just isn't for everybody. She was going, and I really wasn't getting where that was coming from, you know, even till later when, you know, she's black, but she's just as much white as she is black. Why are you telling me she's black? She's white too, right? But anyway, and she looks more white than black. But anyway, so we started talking, and I'm like, no, college is a great thing. I think she should go to college, you know. And she got on this black thing, you know. It's not for everybody because, you know, the dropout rate in black. Yeah, but this girl graduated high school. Where were you talking? Oh, yeah. And then I brought up Appalachia. I said, just like in Appalachia. Oh, no, you're right. I get it. She didn't want to talk about it anymore because her family's from Appalachia. Even the good white people, okay? So I'm saying there's a lot of misunderstanding out there among white people and black people as far as the status of black people, and the difference between the two. I remember once the same person, and good white person, even the good white people. We were talking about, you know, how black people can't swim because their bones are denser. Then I got to share with her a lesson on genetics and how absolutely ridiculous that perspective was. And finally, after a couple of weeks of back and forth, she finally got it, you know. But now here's another subject again, you know. So I had to share with her, you know, even when you talk about the black dropout rate, high school dropout rate, what you do is you compare how many black kids graduate from high school versus how many black kids drop out of high school, and then look at the economic conditions of all of those students, and then you take a look at the white kids that drop out, because there's a whole lot of them. Appalachia is a vast area in the United States. So then you take a look at the white kids that drop out of high school compared to the white kids that graduate. And you recognize the similarity in both the black and the white kids, that it's not about the color of their skin, it's about the economic condition. Look at the economic environment that those kids come from, and you recognize the dropout rate is directly related to the economic environment that the child is living in. It has nothing to do with race. Okay? And so it does take some schooling sometimes, not just for white people, but for us too. We can buy into that stuff. Just like the welfare system. Man, there are far more white people on welfare in the United States than any other group in this country. Yet, when we talk about a welfare queen, first thing we're thinking about is a black woman single black woman with children. We're not thinking about the Appalachian that's hooked on Oxycontin and drugs that are being sent to them monthly from the government. We're not looking at those people. So I'm just suggesting there are more white people than black people, and there are more white people on welfare than black people. And so we want to say, well, not per capita, the percentage. Well, when we're talking about our tax dollars, we're not talking about which percentage a group is getting. No, we're talking about our tax dollars in real money. So we're talking about what group is taking most of our tax dollars for welfare, and it's white people. Now, this is not a harsh message. I'm just saying it's a reality check. And so people that are running around calling themselves supreme are hardly supreme. I don't even call them that, even in discussion. I might call, something that self-proclaimed supremacists or something like that, but they're not supreme. And I believe that's what happened to them that drove them crazy when Obama won. The last vestige of imagined superiority was the presidency of the United States, which no black man officially had ever held. And then Obama dusted all of his opponents in the primary. He's not electable. He'd be bringing me lemonade, remember Bill said. And going against John McCain and twice, undefeated, Obama, black man, destroyed the illusion of superiority that white folks had over black people. I mean, they've known for a long time. They knew it in music. They knew it in sports. They knew it in business. They knew it in the military, Tuskegee Airmen and so many other examples. They knew it in politics, but the presidency of the United States was always that sacred place. And Obama took it. Okay? Their anger, the Tea Party was created immediately. I remember in Dayton, they were so mad when Obama became president that they created a Tea Party. Remember? We forgot all about the Tea Party with all this MAGA stuff, but the Tea Party was first, remember? And I remember in Dayton, there was this heating and air conditioning company that put out a big advertisement that everyone that was a Tea Party member was going to get a huge discount on whatever their business or service or product they purchased from them. Immediately, half of their clientele canceled their orders because they weren't part of that group. Man, that company put out a big old ad apologizing, saying they made a mistake, and please come back. Very interesting. Okay, so that was the Tea Party. It just shocked them so much, shocked them out of there. There was another heating and air conditioning company that popular in Dayton. I don't want to say the name, but the founder and CEO, the namesake of that company, was out, gallivanting around with, I guess, Donald Trump, and it hit the news, and man, he devastated his business. He came out apologizing too. Man, it's very wise to keep politics out your business, because whatever your business is, that green, that money has anything to do with politics. It has to do with the service you're providing. Keep your politics out of your business. Wisdom for real. Churches haven't quite figured that out, though, have they? But anyway, even the good white people. So as we recognize the prevailing attitudes, in this nation, and the frustrations of many of the white people in this nation, it's gone on to take drastic measures, like even the affirmative action issue, which we've talked about the past couple of weeks on this program, in an attempt to harm black people. The way that the education system has determined that certain books and certain teachings which tell the truth about the black experience in this nation have to be banned, you know. There have been so many attacks, but I'm suggesting today these attacks against black people only make black people stronger, okay? Only move black people. This issue of canceling affirmative action in colleges, psst, you know, oh well. Yeah, I've seen even with my daughter, there's an influx, a large magnitude of young black people that are choosing to attend HBCUs rather than what they call PWI, primarily white institutions, simply because of what they've grown up seeing in our nation, okay? So to me, any of these issues that black folks might be facing in this nation, by even the good white people, this will make you stronger. Now, we're not going to be here very long, but I want to give a caveat to the young people, the young black people, that there are destructive tendencies within our culture, within black culture. A lot of it comes from the music. A lot of it comes from the particular lifestyle that is not really positive, that is destructive. Okay. And then only a few people are making a whole lot of money, and they're projecting this image to the masses of young black people, and the masses of young black people are falling into that, you know, influence. What I'm suggesting today is that we need to recognize that there is a real world out there where in order for you to be successful, you're going to have to be self-sufficient. You're going to have to be well, you're going to have to be rid of destructive tendencies, destructive character traits. And that's what college is about. College is a very good thing. As I was explaining to even my good white friend, you know, who had issue with the black daughter going to college, was that college is a place where the first couple of years you begin to find yourself, find your way. You're interacting with educated peers, you're learning, your worldview is expanding, and you're getting a better idea of who you are and how you fit in this world. And then you make a decision and you go that particular route, that direction. What I'm suggesting to do is we need to recognize that the purpose of college, even the purpose of HBUs, is not for a party culture. It's not to drag the party culture and the destructive elements of our culture into that environment. It's that environment is supposed to be replacing the destructive traits of our culture with positiveness to help you be better and navigate once you graduate. Because what I'm telling you is, as white folks who are still in control of a lot of the institutions and places are in power, and we are making our own way without help of them, we're going to get in a position where in order to make your own way, you're going to need to have rid yourself of certain proclivities, certain habits, certain destructive tendencies. And of course, now you have a networking of HBCUs, but you have to function in excellence. You cannot function in excellence coupled with weed. You cannot function in excellence coupled with alcohol. You cannot function in excellence coupled with promiscuity. You cannot function in excellence while you're participating in a destructive lifestyle. That needs to be put aside. In order for us to be well in this society, and I've been saying this for a couple of years now, we need to stop doing any kind of crime. We need to stop doing drugs. We need to stop doing alcohol. We need to get educated, which many of you are. We need to be healthy. We need to exercise and start eating right. And we need to be armed. Do all those things. And as I shared with my daughter that day, that you'll take yourself out of the reach of racism, because they'll have nothing to grasp onto. The racism, I don't care if somebody's prejudiced or they're individually racist and they don't like me, but if there's a racist institution that it can affect my life, I have to pull myself out of its reach. So if I'm still committing crimes, the prison system is a racist institution intended to oppress black people. Take yourself out of its reach. Don't commit any crimes. Take yourself out of its reach. Don't drink anymore, especially don't drink and drive. Get yourself educated, which many of you are right now. Take yourself out of the need to go begging for a job at McDonald's or Walmart or Myers or wherever else, or the factory or this or that, you know, which you could be terminated at any time. No, get educated. Get an extremely widened worldview. You'll begin networking with other people of your educational backgrounds, and you'll make it without Even the good white people, okay? That's what I'm saying. Get yourself in better shape. You can't be a one-footed warrior who just lost your foot due to diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, heart disease, all that stuff that's killing you, killing black people because of the foods that we're eating and our lack of exercise. Come on now, you cannot be 100% prosperous and successful if you're dealing with health issues. So make yourself healthy. And you know, the funny, and get yourself armed legally. You know, all these things that I'm telling you, I have done. Okay? Now, I might have done it kind of late, like the education part. I mean, I didn't realize. I looked at Obama when he became president, younger than me with a Harvard education. I had a high school diploma. I decided to go back to school. 10 years later, I'd earned my MBA. I have an associate degree, a bachelor's degree, and an MBA. Not to use, but just to, I did it. Amazing. If I did it at that age, you can too. Man, I eat right. I exercise every day, except this morning because I'm doing this program. And I'm in pretty good shape. I'll be 65 this year, 2023. Handle your business. Keep your exercise. Eat right. Armed. I'm extremely well armed. Extreme. Most of the gun nuts. I'm not a gun nut. First of all, I am anti-gun. But I also realize that there are a lot of crazy people out there. So although I don't want to ever have to use a gun, I have the ability to defend myself. I have probably more guns than most gun lovers, okay? And I don't like guns, but they're necessary, you know, until they're gone. I mean, look, I was a guy, black man. And I was in the military, expert marksman, M16. That's not really that difficult. I think I hit shit like 98 out of 100, something hit like 98 out of 100. So I hadn't had a gun in years. And about 7 years ago, I was off work one day. It was my day off. I was sitting home watching TV, and I was watching this special. And they were talking about those apocalyptic guys, you know, the guys with the underground bunkers, you know, those guys. And they had like tons of guns, tons of ammunition, and they were talking about black people. And I said, uh-oh. Man, I got up from that TV, put it on pause, went right to the gun store. Bought a 9mm a handgun. Then I was thinking, man, you know, for a little bit of time while I was in the military, I was a cop, okay? What they called war skill cop. It was a new program they just come up with while I was in. And I was never any good at a handgun, so I said, man, you know, I forgot. I'm not even good at a handgun. I think I'd be pretty good at this because it was different than a .38. But, so then I went out and I got an AR. Because I was an expert with the M16, AR-15, pretty similar to an M16, so I bought one. Then I was thinking, well, Dad, what if somebody's more close up to that? So I went out and bought a Mossberg, you know, a shotgun. So now I'm set, and I've only fired them like when I was qualifying for my CCW. So, and I hope I never have to, you know. But it's good to be safe. You know, more safe than sorry. So be armed, because even though you're pulling yourself out of the reach of the corrupt institutions by not doing drugs, not committing crimes, not, you know, keeping care of your health and all that, you still have those. You don't know what's going to happen with some of these crazy people out there. We saw what happened on January 6th, and you know they're threatening a whole lot of stuff if Trump goes to prison. You know, which gosh, I sure hope he does. because I mean, you know, I don't really take issue with ex-President Trump or even all those followers of him that, you know, are ranting and raving, and even January 6th, you know, I don't take issue with those. And the reason I don't take issue with any of that is because it is so entertaining. Come on, man. That's like watching the Netflix series, you know, watching all these crazy guys. Now you got the ex-president, you know, indicted for the third time. Is he going to prison? You know, now Giuliani just admitted that he lied about those 2 black women, you know, stuffing ballots and all these. Now we got Mark Meadows over there, kind of federal witness. He ain't saying a word now, but he's probably tested. I mean, you got this is just like a Netflix series, man. And the thing is, it's like never ending. So you know, you go through a Netflix series and you get to like the 8th episode and it was a short series and you're disappointed. Man, this one just keeps on going. So anyway, black people, look. Although even white people, even the white people, are in this mess. And they've accepted the privilege. I don't care how good they are, what religion they are, how nice they are, how liberal they are, how friendly they are. They've accepted the privilege while you haven't had it. So I put them in kind of the same boat. Not accusatory, but even the good white people, have benefited where we have not. So I'm just saying it's a matter of perspective. It's not as bad for black folks as black folks get. You don't need a handout to be well. If your oppressor gives you a handout, they're never going to give you enough to bring you up to their level, and they're especially not going to give you enough to take you higher than them. And as well, if they're giving you a handout and they think you're getting uppity, they're going to take it away, which is what they just done with this affirmative action thing. Quit crying about it. You don't need them. Affirmative action was necessary back in the day because white people had affirmative action. No Negroes need apply. They weren't hiring black people. All this stuff, man, all these companies, even the unions and the dock workers and all this stuff, real racist institutions, they were not bringing in black people. So they had their own affirmative action for years, for hundreds of years. That was their affirmative action. So we needed that affirmative action because we were handicapped at the moment. Affirmative action to me was like a cast on a broken arm. But black people, man, your arm is healed under that cast. You don't need that cast anymore. We just gotten so used to it. We just think it's part of our body now. It's a necessary accoutrement, that we need to survive, but it's not. Now, I guarantee you things might get a little tougher, might not be as easy, but if you stop doing all kinds of drugs, stop doing alcohol, don't break any kinds of laws, get educated, get healthy, get armed legally, it'll be a whole lot easier, for real. But anyway, I guess I've been here long enough. I hope I've given you something to think about. I do want to thank you once again for joining me and listening. And I want to invite you to listen again. You take care.